It's time to repot. Fully root bound. Picking the proper pot is essential. You want room to grow, but not too much. You want about 1.5 inches bigger than the old pot. Don't be afraid to break some roots, it's part of the process. But to be safe, I'm cutting the bottom out of this nursery pot to save as many roots as possible. Gently break up the soil, and I'm doing a full repot here. Distilled water, prop drops, and a splash of hydrogen peroxide for my root drench. I'll let that soak for up to 2 days. There's my marbles on a chunky, well-draining soil with about 2 inches in the bottom of your pot. I gradually drop the roots in and add soil to make sure it gets in between every root. You want it to support the plant, but don't compact it. And I like to brush off any debris off the leaves. Now for its first heavy water in its new pot. Water the soil evenly. A quick neem oil shower, and when it's dry, place it in bright indirect light.
Okay, when an orchid bloom dies off, a hormone starts going from the tip of the stalk all the way down to the base. And normally, this would kill off the entire stalk. So you have a couple of options. One, you can trace it all the way down and you can just take a nice clean pair of pruners and chop it off, okay? And with proper care, it will rebloom. Now the second option is actually my favorite, and this is what I typically do. I'm gonna try to interrupt that hormone from killing off the entire bloom stalk. So what I'll do is trim where it's still green between the nodes. We've got a node right here and a node right here. Wherever a bloom was is where a node was. And again, with my clean pruners, I just give it a little cut. And you have a chance of getting a branch off of there with more orchid blooms. Typically, orchids will rebloom 2 to 3 times a year with proper care.
OMG, I checked my Maranta's roots and look what I found. These are called tubers. They house extra nutrients to help with new growth. So cool.
Plant lovers, this is for you. This moisture meter tells you how much moisture you have in your soil so you never under or overwater. Insert in the soil to get your reading. It also comes with a watering guide.
Here's how you can tell if your plants need to be repotted from a houseplant professional. The most common sign would be roots growing out of the bottom of the pot. This is a clear sign the plant actually needs more room to grow. I decided to actually combine 2 of the same plant, so I want to make sure that I change out the soil completely. I'll be using Market Botany's aroid mix for both of these plants. The pot I'm using is an 8-inch 3D printed pot from Tactile, which has the perfect amount of space for these 2 plants. And here you go.
Hydrogen peroxide is something that I always keep on hand as someone that has over 100 houseplants. You mix a 1:5 ratio of hydrogen peroxide to water, and then you can spray it or water your plants with it. Chemically, it's oxygen heavy, so it encourages root growth and healthy plants and propagations. And the oxygen helps combat against root rot if you've overwatered your plants. It fights against bacteria, mold, and it helps kill fungus gnat eggs. Listen, my audio sucks, but that hissing noise, it's the sound of the eggs and other organic material breaking down.
Concerning.
It's amazingly helpful, readily available, and super cheap too. Not sponsored, but I wish. Follow for more plant stuff. Bye!
Hey everyone, it's Lou, and today I'm going to do a video on tips that I wish someone had given me when I was a beginner plant parent. So my first tip is to do your research. What I mean by this is that you need to look up the individual care needs of each plant that you own because it's going to be different for each one. I think a lot of people don't own plants because they once were gifted one, they didn't look up the care instructions and it died, so they were discouraged from going to get more plants. Second tip is that when you bring a new plant home, you should quarantine it for probably around 2 weeks because you don't know the condition of the nursery that you brought your plant from. It could have a lot of pests and you could bring pests back to your home and infect the rest of your plants. And my last tip is to only repot your plants when they absolutely need to be repotted. For example, I am only repotting her because she is obviously too big for her pot. And when you do repot, only repot an extra 2 inches bigger than what it is in. So I will be going to a 4-inch pot.
Welcome back to Plant of the Week. It is time to talk about my favorite plants of all time. Here's how to take care of your philodendrons. There are tons of different types, but this care covers most of them. I keep most of my philodendrons in medium indirect light. I keep some in bright indirect light, but make sure you keep those guys out of direct sun or they're gonna get crispy. I also like to wait till they dry out about halfway between watering. I stick my finger in the soil. If the top couple inches are dry, she's ready for water. These guys also love matted humidity, so I mist them or put them near a humidifier.